Streaming. Hello everyone, hope you can at least see the CAD drawings in front of you. Let me see if I can get this up on my phone and then I can monitor the recording as well. Should it bother to do that. Let's do it on videos. Where's videos? Content. Something's wrong. Of course it is. Live videos. Live videos isn't showing, so thumbs up from YouTube there. That's working very well. Why is YouTube so utterly garbage? I don't know. Content. Live. Is it live? It says it's live anyway. Who knows? So, I can't see if anyone's chatting away to me, so I apologise for that. What the hell? I'm bored with that. Okay, so, as you may or may not know, let me move this out of the way. I have been, let me zoom in. How do you move stuff? Move stuff with that. Oh, whoa, too fast. Okay, as you may or may not know, I have been designing with my pal Mark, who is a 3D CAD designer. We've been designing a pet-like case, which is not a copy of a Commodore PET case. It is inspired by style, if you like, stylistic version of the Commodore PET case. And what I mean by that is that because the original PET case is yay wide, to incorporate the Amiga 500 case, which is what I originally wanted it to do, I've had to make it wider. We've also had to make it deeper. No, I think it's the same depth, it's just wider now, which means we've had to alter the size of the monitor housing. I'll come to that in just a moment. So the case is actually wider now than the original PET. Initially I wanted it to house the 64 Amiga 500 PC ATX, micro ATX, whatever the common ATX size is these days. I don't know what it is, whatever it's called, micro ATX, whatever it is. And what else? That was probably it. Initially, for the first version, to stop the project becoming too bogged down with, we need to design this to do this, but we need to alter it to make it do that. Blah 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 blah. It has to do 10 things at once. It gets very complicated. It takes far too long to design, devise, and create. So what I decided to do, I said no. We'll have it so it can work or be designed around two internal motherboards. So those internal motherboards are, at the moment, the Amiga A500 and the PC. Now, initially I wanted it to take full-sized PC cards, but that would mean, oh, wrong way, that this size here, which is whatever it is, come on, let me draw. Active measurement. Oh, bugger off. Anyway, no, I don't want to draw. This measurement here, whatever it is now, it's sort of increased by about 30 mil to take in a range of ISR, not ISA, but PCI cards, and it ruined the look of the machine. I didn't want it to do that, because the case, instead of being whatever nice size that is, whatever I've loaded this up in eDrawings. I think you have to turn the zoom off to do a measurement, but anyway, I'm not going to do that. So whatever this measurement is here, if I had the case to take a PCI card, it would need to be about that high, and if it was going to be a full length PCI case, then this part here, which is the front bezel of the case and the keyboard goes here, this part here would be about here. So it ruined the dimensions of it. It visually looked wrong. I mean, not so much that it mattered terribly, but it just looked stupid to me. I didn't like it. So I did away with the PCI cards, because let's face it, any modern PC motherboard will have, or can have anyway, you could have an AMD Ryzen with the fastest graphics that an average low-end PC gamer would need, or you can have an Intel, not Iris, whatever the Intel version is, built into the motherboard with super fast VGA graphics. Everything's built into it. It's just that an I/O card on the back, the port with the USBs and the VGA out, HDMI out, and all the other stuff in one rectangle panel, which would be... Ooh, eDrawings is very, very slow. What are you doing, eDrawings? eDrawings is buggered up. What the hell are you doing? So I didn't want it to do that anyway. I'll wait for eDrawings to finish messing about. So I decided, right, okay, we won't do that. We'll just have a standard PC motherboard, use the I/O panel, and that will do. I don't know what eDrawings is doing. It's so stupid. So that was that. Now I've destroyed the drawing. Oh, there we go. Right, what's this? This is the base. Okay, so the base of the case. Let's move on. I'll come back to that while eDrawings is finished messing about. So what I wanted it to do, which you may or may not be able to see very well, is quite simply, I'll zoom out just a touch so you can see all this. Kind of. I've got OBS streaming my screen, so it's a little bit wonky donkey at the minute. I'll move that way and up a bit. Okay, so you'll have all that on the screen now. So this bit here is the base panel. So if you took the top of a PET off, you remove the monitor, you remove the top housing, and what you are left with is the base tray, if you will. Now the base tray at the moment has all the all centers punched in here, or laser cut, for the standoffs for mounting an Amiga 500 board and a PC board. So if you have an Amiga version, you will have sort of 6 of these. If you have a PC version, you'll have another 6 or 8, whatever it is. So you don't have all these in, you either have one or the other. So these standoffs will be populated in the board. Sit the board on, you screw it up, and the back panel, whatever the back panel is, not that one. So that's a hinge. Where's the back panel? It's a hinge. Case top. Monitor. Come on, where's an I/O panel? I/O panel, come on, give us a clue. It's not going to show me the I/O panel, is it? Which is quite annoying. Anyway, we'll forget that. We'll come back to that as we find it. So here on the back there will be a rectangle cut out for a PC motherboard. You pop the I/O panel in and away you go. If you have the Amiga 500 version, there will be a long panel at the back here which has got the cutouts for RGB, audio, second disk drive, so on and so forth. So that's the base. The base will also have two lugs here to screw it up, so it all bolts up nice and tight, and it will have a bonnet hinge, so you can lift it up like you would on the original PET case, or you know, it looked a little bit like a car, didn't it? You know, lift the bonnet of a car up, or hood if you're American. Although if you say hood in the UK, that's a convertible, but never mind. What's this showing me? That's just the old center positions, not interested in that. That's the bonnet stay. So you have a curiously angled bracket on there, and that's just to match the case. Hinge, not bothered about the hinge. Okay, so this is the main body top, if you like. So what I'm going to be doing or deciding, not in this version, in so much as not in the prototype version, I'm going to run this as it is, just to test it before I go any further. Now what I would like to do, because people may or may not put an Amiga 500 in this case, I will, for instance, I need to know whether I need to put a slot in here, if you can see that, hopefully. Have you got all this on the drawing? Let's zoom out, not in. Okay, so on this drawing, what I would like is to know, should I put a disk drive slot in there, or at the front, which would be here somewhere, where it would usually say PET, Commodore Business Machines, or whatever it says, 2001 or 8032, whatever it says. I may well put a slot in there, 3.5 inch by whatever a disk drive is, an inch, and have a floppy on the front, so it looks a bit like what looks a bit like that, an Einstein PC. They looked a little bit like that. Or I might even put two in, so you've got DFO and DF1 at the front of the machine. I quite like the idea of that. And with a little PCB board, you can have dual floppies on an Amiga 500 board. So I haven't quite decided yet. Until I build one and assemble one, I'm unsure, but I suspect if I could go on the side here, on the side of the case, like you would on the orientation of a real Amiga. If you look at 500, the disk drive is on the right. If I put the disk drive on the right, at the right height, I suspect it will land on the join line of the upper and lower case. So that's not practical. So what I might do is, like I say, put two slots or one slot at the front, so we can have a 3.5 inch disk drive at the front of the Amiga. A little bit like a Commodore C65 would have been. Monitor. Let's do the screen first. There's the screen. Okay, so let's zoom out again. Oh, out, not in. So hopefully you can see all that on there. Let's move it along there a bit. Okay, so if you look at the bottom right here, on the lower right of the screen, you'll see the side view of the case. So you can see, well, I hope you can see, that they've got standoffs sticking up from the bottom of the case, and there are two pins in the middle of the case which bolt to the monitor or hold the monitor on. That is a spacer plate where those two bolts go, and that holds the top monitor housing to the spacer plate to the upper body. So that's what those two bolts are. Below that you'll see the standoffs, and that's where the motherboard bolts to. Now the reason of that is that the motherboard is raised off of the bottom of the metal case, because it won't work if it's sat on the bottom, obviously. And what else? Oh, there's a little lip at the bottom for the panel, so the PET will have a removable back panel, or the APET will have a removable back panel, and the back panel is movable, so you can use an Amiga motherboard, 500 board, hopefully eventually it will have Commodore Amiga 500, a 1200, Um, Commodore 64, possibly a 128. PC it's already got. That should be it really. You could probably put a Mister in there or a Pi, and then what I'll do is I'll probably do a universal I/O panel that goes on the back of the machine. So it'll have like a couple of HDMI's, say half a dozen USBs. That's about it really. Probably, I don't know. It could have a 3.5 inch, 3.5mm socket for a jack plug or a couple of jack plugs or something. So you could screw a panel mount fitting in there, and you could do a universal back panel. So it could run a Mister, or it could run a Pi. Although to run a Pi, it's a little bit of a waste because the case is quite large. You're looking at a computer that's looking at the dimensions here. It's 400. It's nearly 436 millimeters high. 515 wide, and the depth of it is 479. So it's quite a large box, but the PET was a big box anyway. It's quite a boxy machine, but I like that. It's very 70s or early 80s, which is what I'm going for. As you look at the side view of this machine, you will see that the PSU is in the monitor. So how it's assembled is that the monitor, or the monitor housing, bolts, well, let's start again. The power pack bolts into the back of the monitor with a hole in the upper unit, so the cables go through. The ATX power supply cable and all the Molex fittings poke through. A 9 volt or 12 volt goes to the monitor, whichever one it takes, I can't remember now. And the monitor actually fits inside the head. It's on a VESA bracket or VESA, which is bolted on. It clips in, and then the front bezel of the case hooks on and bolts tight. And you can put your fingers through the hole, tighten it up, and then the monitor, or the monitor housing, if you like, the head, sits on the little spacer piece. The 2 bolts are tightened up at the bottom, or 4 bolts it is actually, and then that's the head unit is finished. There's no speakers in the head, but this monitor does have speakers, so it will create sound. How good that sound is, I'm not sure yet, so I may fit speakers at the back, proper speakers that are bolted up. I'm not sure yet. I may or may not do that. So that's the head. The cables will poke through into the machine, so you'll have a VGA, a HDMI input, a composite input, and if you desire such a thing, an antenna. But what I will do on the Amiga 500 is that the HDMI will come out of there, and that will go to the Denise HDMI adapter. So it will have a HDMI out straight to the screen without using cables at the back of the machine and then feeding them back through, which I don't want to do. I think that will look a bit naff. The Amiga 500 will be powered by a Zorro connector that connects on the side with an ATX power connector, so it's all driven through the ATX. So you've got a modern power supply driving the Amiga. It will use a standard Amiga keyboard, which is bolted to the cutout at the front of the machine. And you have one power cord going in. Turn the machine on, it will turn on the monitor, turn on the Amiga, and everything will come to life, and then you're good to go. My initial concept for this was for a Pi Storm Amiga, or perhaps a Vampire, but probably that sort of thing anyway. The reasoning for that is that they have HDMI out, so it can connect to a monitor and display nicely. To try and get a monitor to display 15 kilohertz is an issue, but it can be done through a composite, or it can be done through a scan doubler. I haven't used a scan doubler as yet because I don't want to. I wanted to use a RGB HDMI on the Denise, so it takes the picture straight to the monitor via, well, with that. So that's done. I'll need 2 VGA inputs, so it'll have HDMI from the Denise and it will have HDMI from the video out of the Pi if it's a Pi Storm, or the HDMI socket on the Vampire if it is a Vampire. So I need to make a little switch box of some description in the monitor. I haven't done that yet, but that's coming along. I just want to do the metalwork first. I can work out the other little bits later. That's not a problem. But it's all going on, and it's all going on at the same time. There or thereabouts. So what else is there to say? So that's the case as an overall view. I'll probably put feet on it. It will be power decoded in the same RAL code as the original PET. It will be a texture finish as per the original PET. The base will probably be black, and the case will be the whitey. I'm not sure if they were white or slightly off-white, but whatever it was. The bezel may or may not be black. I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look at that. I might experiment, do a white one, do a black one, see what they look like. And that's about it, I think. So this is a prototype one. Okay, I've got the bonnet stay to make. Haven't done that yet, obviously. The hinge, I need to buy a hinge. And that's about it. So this is the all the fittings for the monitor. So you've got the four holes there are for the bezel bracket. The bracket in red is a keyhole, well, a latch mechanism to lock into a backplate. So these will all be laser cut. I will fold them. I've tried to design it, or we've tried to design it, Mark and I, with minimum welding to do, because if I make a few of these, I don't want to be spending all day welding them up. I don't mind folding them. The cutout there is cut out. Mark's designed this for the ATX power supply, and he's designed it to fit the ATX power supply I gave him, which is fine, but that will be altered in future to just a rectangle with the four holes for mounting any ATX power supply. There's no doubt the power supply I've bought will disappear at some point. So that's that. That's the back of the monitor with vent holes. Oh, yeah, vent holes. This L-shaped bracket goes inside the monitor. That's just for, what is that for? What's that for? I think that's for holding the power supply. It's a support. Can't remember now. What is it? Main housing assembly. Oh, here's the power pack support. Okay. What's left? Who knows? The viewer stopped viewing. Oh, there we go. Ooh, stupid thing. That's just, oh, that's the spacer from the monitor to the body. Not very interesting. Okay, so let's go back to the main body. Hopefully I can make that fit on the screen. It's very slow e-drawings. Probably because I'm using OBS at the same time, it don't like it. No, I don't want to zoom in, I want to zoom out, stupid. Anyway, too painful, too slow. So there's all kinds of fittings and fixtures going inside this thing. So it does get a little bit complicated. Quite why it's zoomed in so much, I don't know. Let's zoom out a bit. So that's it. I can't see any comments because my phone's not telling me this video is live. If it isn't live, I shall have to do it again tonight, and hopefully it will work better. So you can see there's all kinds of holes and fittings about all over the place, which is fine. So that's about it. I'll stop the stream, and if anyone's got questions, I'll try and answer them later, or I'll do another stream tonight and you can ask me questions tonight. I'll probably fire the ZX81 up or the Timex 1000 and get that going. So I bought a power back because I can't find mine. Unsurprisingly, I have power backs all over the house, but the one I want, I can't find. But there's nothing new there. So that's it. That's the APET. I'm not sure if it's going to call it the APET 500 or the APET, I don't know, 2022 or whatever. I'm not sure yet on the name. Should I do a Kickstarter for this and produce them professionally? I don't know. I shall make one, or perhaps two. Make one. Oh, excuse me. Make one as a PC and make one as an Amiga 500. I'll probably do the 500 first because it interests me more. And go from there. Really, don't know what else to say. If this was a project or a product that people are interested in, I may well look at doing this commercially. I will probably do a run of them anyway, but if I'm paying for it myself out of my own pocket, I will probably only do a few because work gets in the way. Time is money. Time is of the essence, and people are a little bit finicky when it comes to paying for things. People say they will and they don't and all that sort of thing. So I'll probably do a few. I might stick them on eBay and see what people think to them. Don't know. Might send one or two away for review. Not sure. Not quite sure how to proceed on from this. But it doesn't matter yet because I need to make one. Need to get it painted, put all the bits in. Well, actually I need to make it first, put all the bits in, see if it works. And then do some modifications. The floppy drive is the first thing I need to fit on the 500 version for two reasons. Reason number one is I meant to add it a number of weeks ago and forgot. And then when I decided that I had forgotten to add it and was going to add it, I couldn't make my mind up where to put it, so to speak. So I didn't put the slot in for the floppy. So it's been designed without it at the moment. That can easily be rectified. But I quite like the idea of putting it on the front. So you actually feed a floppy disk in from the front rather than going around the side. It's a little bit of a moot point because floppy disks are now probably 100% obsolete. But people still like floppy disks for that authentic, whatever the phrase is, authentic feel. And I'm the same. I do like to pop a floppy disk in occasionally. So if it was missing, it would annoy me. And if it is missing, it would just come up as DFO, not available or something on Workbench, which is also quite irritating, unless you terminate it. So it should really have one. Now, I also need to add a hard drive enclosure on the front, not on the front, but inside the body. And I'll probably do that for all versions. So that if it is a PC, obviously it can use a hard drive of some description, or an SSD, or whatever people use these days. Although, again, this is a partially moot point, because if you buy a new motherboard, it will probably have the SSD slot thing built onto the board anyway, so that you can put the M1 SSD adapters. You just clip them on the motherboard, screw it up, and you've got a C drive. So, do people want mechanical hard drives anymore? Probably not. But there's bound to be someone who says, "Oh, I need a hard drive and a floppy disk on my PC, as I'm going to play, God knows, Rogue Squadron on it or whatever people do." But therein lies the problem. Do I accommodate all the fittings and fixtures for every possible variable and combination that people might like? If I did, this thing would never be produced because there's too many options. Do I put a 5¼ inch slot in the front of the machine so you can put a disk drive in? Do I put a small slot in from a laptop? Do I put a slot loading DVD in? Do I put no DVD in? Now, personally, I would say I'm not going to bother with the DVD slot, because if you want a DVD in it, you can stick one in the USB port at the back and have an external one. I don't want to deface the front of it by having a big open void for a Blu-ray or something sticking in there. But an external one would look quite nice. I could even do a metal enclosure for a 5¼ inch drive, maybe. That'd be quite nice. Powder coat it white. I might do that actually. That's just occurred to me. So that could be done. That could look like an external disk drive unit. I could even make an external floppy disk drive unit, so you have two old school floppy disks that look like the PET external unit, but that's getting more complicated and more metal work to make. So what I'll do initially, I will think about whether to put a floppy slot in the front of the PET, and I'll probably just put a simple 3.5-inch U bracket inside the case with holes for fitting a couple of hard drives. So if people want to use it, it's there. If they don't, that's perfectly fine. On the Amiga version, I was going to fit an open slot at the back so that a Sorrow card could be fitted. But if it's going to be for a Pi Storm or a Vampire, what's the point? So I don't really know. I'm in two minds what to do there. I probably, in this version, I won't do either of those things. I won't put a slot in for a Zorro or an ISA or PCI for the PC. I just won't bother. For height restrictions and all kinds, and the variations of stuff that can be fitted, I'm just not going to bother. So probably the next step is, where does the floppy drive go, and a U bracket for an enclosure of some kind of hard drive enclosure for the PC version, and Amiga as well. And that's it. I may put a random bracket on the inside of the case, like an L bracket, so that a CF card can be bolted down, securely, rather than have them floating about as people do on the Amiga 500. And that's going to be it. So this, when is this going to be done? I'm going to probably get one of these folded up in the next month or two. I need to cut the steel, or I need to get the steel ordered, get it laser cut, and it needs folding, and then the assembly will start. And I'll probably do photos step by step, do videos, and do some sort of diary, if you like, of the production process. So that's all coming up in the future. So anyway, so that's it from me. I'm fed up with talking. So this is the APET, whatever you want to call it, APET 500, APET PC, APET 2022, or whatever, I don't know. But that's it. This is the APET, and it will be coming at some point in the not too distant future. Anyway, that'll do from me. I'm going to have a cup of tea. I'm probably playing with the ZX 80. No, not the Timex 1000. Anyway, thank you very much. I shall see you soon. I'll read your comments later. The YouTube thing's not showing this video, so either it doesn't think it's live or it's going out later. Either. Thank you very much. I shall see you soon. Bye for now.